Danielle Bernstein, Jim Higdon, Dave Vautrin, Mattocks Swenson, and moderated by Eric Berlin. Come on up to the stage, y'all. Give them a hand while they do so. Still wishing we had Price is Right music. For the next one, we're going to do that.
All right, and here comes Dave. Good. So we have even more limited, less time because the senator's coming in on the tail of us. So we're going to move quickly. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming to this. Our title got changed due to legislation. Isn't that fun? But we're still going to talk about basically cannabis and hemp and how they come together or not. I'm Eric Berlin. I lead the cannabis sector group at Dentons. And let's just go down with introductions, starting with you, Danielle.
I'm Danielle Bernstein. I am the president and founder of Laurelcrest, which is a cannabinoid ingredient manufacturer on the hemp side based in Oregon. I'm also part of a bunch of different trade organizations, including the Hemp Roundtable, NIHC, FIHO, ASTM, NCIA, and APA.
Hey everyone, my name is Mattocks Swenson. I am founder and GP at L2 Ventures. We invest primarily in software companies that support a variety of different operators and companies within the space.
I'm Jim Higdon, co-founder and chief communications officer at Cornbread Hemp based in Louisville, Kentucky. And all of our products become Schedule I narcotics in 360 days.
No, well said.
I don't know how to follow that one. I'm Dave Vautrin. I'm the CEO of FLUENT Cannabis. We operate in 4 states. I got involved in the business, started in 2016 with Counter Royalty Origin House. From there, built a MSO, moved to New York, started up a travel agency there, and then joined Riv Capital, which we later then merged with Consortium. So I love the space, and it's interesting. I got to sit next to Jim today.
So this is a well-anticipated panel. I'll try to keep order and move us along quickly. I didn't credentialize myself much. I've been an attorney for 32 years and in the cannabis space for 17. So trust me, I'm qualified to moderate this panel. Okay, so we had a great change in the law, so everyone is on board what that is. Through the appropriations bill, the definition of hemp was amended. And so the Farm Bill was amended to change the definition of hemp to mean that the 0.3% standard now applies to not just Delta-9 THC, but all THCs and any cannabinoid that the FDA, within 90 days of the effective date, determines has similar effects. 0.4 milligrams of total THC per package. Seeds, quite frankly, I don't quite know what the government just did with seeds, and I'm supposed to know that. But that's a general gist, and I think Jim put it well as to what the implications are for your product. So Jim, you've been in the press more than probably all the folks in the room put together. Why don't I give you a chance to start and explain, beyond what you said, how do you view this and what are the implications?
First of all, thank you. I did not want to be in the press this week as much as I have been, although we had been clamoring for attention for some time and now we have it. We're hopeful that we can solve this problem in the 360 days we've been allotted to solve it, but anyone with any government relations experience knows 360 days in Congress is not a lot. Cornbread Hemp makes full spectrum topicals, CBD sublingual tinctures, full spectrum CBD gummies, THC gummies and THC beverages, no more than 10 milligrams per serving from us. And we do not make any vapes or smokable products or any THCA or any Delta-8. And despite all that, all of our products will be rendered Schedule I narcotics, including the most basic CBD oil and lotion that we make will become illegal in less than a year.
Can you just explain, just so everyone understands, why does the change in the definition of hemp affect those products that are not marketed as THC?
Yeah, it's a good question because members of Congress, particularly U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, keep saying that this will not affect non-intoxicating CBD products, and that is not true. All CBD products contain some amount of THC, except for CBD isolate products, but because of limits to intermediate products included in this legislation, no extract can exceed that 0.3% at any point in the manufacturing process. So as I understand it, CBD isolate products will also be Schedule I narcotics because this language does not allow one to make them. So all CBD products, including non-intoxicating CBD products, will become Schedule I narcotics.
Thanks, Jim. Danielle, can we turn to you, and you sort of bridge the gap between different segments of the industry, and how do you see this and how will it affect your business?
The intermediate products having to be 0.3% or below is impossible. Even if the farm bill puts us at 0.3% THC in the plant, once you extract it, it goes over that 0.3, and Laurelcrest has really built a company around reducing that THC content to compliant. So the majority of what we do is similar to Jim. It's all therapeutic. We basically take products that are over 0.3% because of natural processes like extraction and distillation, which is necessary to go to isolate, or we have THC removal process that basically degrades the THC. So we have no THC in our facility that's above 0.3% at the end of it. And that is something that's going all over the world. And you can see the implications of what is happening here and the way the Japan market crashed when they went to 0.1, 1 part per million. And the way that it affects my business is it ends the business if this is enforced upon. But this in-between, in-process material has been in kind of a jurisdiction, no man's land the whole time. So
yeah, you and this was commented on in the previous panel, but this affects the state legal cannabis market as well, which your business serves. Can you sort of explain that to folks?
Well, what's interesting is that the influences of this legislation, from alcohol to cannabis to, there's a lot of different influences, is that my question kind of in this room and non-understanding is like the reality is our supply chains in cannabis are completely intertwined. All the minor cannabinoids, and Jeff from Infused he said it really well, but like all the minor cannabinoids are coming from hemp. To make those minor cannabinoids in the metric system or under regulated circumstances would be extremely expensive and cost prohibitive. And so I go to like a CBG, as a effect-based molecule that's being used in gummies and drinks and all these things, and both sides, hemp and cannabis, that would be gone. And so there is this we're shooting ourselves in the foot across the entire spectrum of these products and limiting important access to medicine for people because there isn't really a difference in our supply chains. Even when it comes to THC, which people are much more uncomfortable talking about, there is crossover. So at the economic level, I think it destroys the entire landscape of cannabis to do this to hemp.
Thanks, Danielle. And Dave, can we turn to you from the perspective of state legal cannabis and the implications of the change in definition of hemp and what it means for your business?
Sure. I know initially we talked about what's my position on it.
I'll come to that.
So which question do you want me to answer? What specifically?
Really just what you see as the implications from your business, particularly from the state regulated marijuana industry.
Yeah, I see there's clearly a series of knock-on effects, negative both to the existing market that I participate in, as well as the intoxicating hemp, which could be very devastating. So
But one thing I want to comment on is, I mean, sort of from the marijuana side, is one of the issues that the marijuana industry perceived was we've put all this money into our CapEx and industry and are following all these rules, and now the convenience store across the street is selling similar products. And I mean, you're in Texas where that was a big focus. Texas, a lot of people said, why would the White House take this out on the federal level when they didn't in Texas? And that obviously didn't come out to be true. So anyway.
Yeah, Texas is really interesting. There's 3 of us that have licenses in Texas. There are 8,000 licensed hemp resellers in the state. So these aren't bad actors. They have licenses, they're actively selling it. There's an additional 3,000 resellers of hemp in the state of Texas. So it's really 3 against 11,000 right now. So it seems a little unbalanced. Even Jim would agree. And
I do agree.
And even in the state of Florida, where I would say 70% of our enterprise revenue comes from, the ratio is 1 to 12 there as well. So we build this infrastructure, this manufacturing facilities, all these stores, dozens of stores throughout the state of Florida, and then instantly a hemp reseller can pop up. So it's uncomfortable, to the point that when I heard about this, my first reaction, which was insensitive, but now that I've been to the Beltway, my opinions have changed. My first reaction was, welcome to the Hunger Games. Like you've now entered into our space, and it's terrible. But it's tough. It's like we've made all these massive investments, so we just got to figure out how to make everybody work together.
Excellent. Mattocks, can I turn to you for both how you see this from the point that you sit in the industry, and then a little bit pivot to like kind of what might you see next in happening here?
Yeah, so from my perspective, the cost of capital in this industry is just exorbitantly high, and it was high before. This introduces additional chaos and confusion for all of the reasons mentioned. And the impact to that, as everybody well knows, is it's impossible to intelligently allocate capital, whether you're running a business, to different areas when the rules change on you every 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
so, I think from where I'm sitting, I think where everybody is, I'm not hemp or cannabis or this or that. A safe, controlled market with clearly defined rules so folks can make, net positive decisions will raise the industry overall, because nobody's winning right now.
So some level of stability is, and we're not going to get there right away.
No,
I understand, but
we
ideally
won't.
some level of greater stability is what's critical from your perspective?
Totally critical.
Understood. So I want to cover 2 more questions for everyone in 10 minutes. So it's going to be challenging, okay? And the first question is, what next? What next do you think for you, for your business, and for stakeholders? Like, what do you think is going to happen next? What are you going to do next? Let's just go down the road for this one, Danielle.
I think we need to consider the consumer first. And people want access to this medicine. They want access to these products. And that is not going to somehow end just because there is prohibitive language and bans. People are going to be trying to find these products. And in states where there are no cannabis, where there is not cannabis, it could be really dangerous and problematic. So it's really coming together to figure out how we get consumers that want these products, safe, effective products, into their hands.
I want, yeah. Oh, you want to get applause for that? I thought, oh no, it's just someone putting, sorry. I didn't mean to step on applause. So I want to point out 2 things. Number one, if this was really, truly a public health crisis, you don't put 365 days until it becomes effective. So just let's ponder that. And then the issue that you raised, can you just elaborate? I know we're on small time, but just elaborate like a sentence or 2.
Well, I think that consumers are driving so much demand for these products and wanting alternatives to alcohol and healthier outcomes, and also just access for everyday mental health and physical well-being or sleep, and they're using these products, I mean, like Jim's full spectrum products or your products in Texas, and people want to know generally that they're getting something safe.
Yeah.
And I think that the industries collectively, but especially in all the conversations we have in hemp, we're like willing to, I don't want to see anything dangerous on the market, but I also want to see people have access, because we saw what it was like before that, and it wasn't particularly
Right.
safe.
And the problem is, if people don't have safe, legal, affordable access, they're going to compromise one of those, and it's usually going to be safety, which in the illicit market is where people will turn for those products. Mattocks.
In terms of what's next,
Yeah, I mean, it may be for you nothing.
Yeah.
You may be sitting and watching, which is totally fine.
It's been a little slow. In terms of what's next, one of the things that we had kind of touched on is the lack of federal guidance makes it really hard to self-police this industry and create, a traditional kind of self-regulatory organization, because, the reality is that there are a lot of really good actors on both sides of the coin, hemp and cannabis, right? But there's a small fraction in both sides of the market that are putting out unsafe products, untested products, funding all sorts of criminal kind of activity. And, for the benefit of the entire industry at large, we need some frameworks around that so, the good actors can rise and the bad actors fall. I'm kind of optimistic on where this is going. I think the amount of, media that has come from the hemp ban is net positive for the overall industry, but kind of like every one of you, we'll see what happens when it happens, but I wouldn't be shocked if something does change in the next 360 days.
Thank you, Mattocks. Jim, who definitely wants a change in the next 360 days. So tell us what's next and what you anticipate.
So last week we had an all-hands meeting at Cornbread. I told 100 employees that I was coming to DC to figure this out, and it's up to me to make that true. One of the reasons I'm here at the Ignited conference is to find as much alignment as we can with folks in this room who understand that what happened in the McConnell hemp ban is not something that's going to be good for cannabis long term. The first thing that, once we find some alignment, we all need to go back to our respective champions in Congress, and the first thing that we need to do is to get an extension on this 360 days, because while it is theoretically possible to create meaningful reform in less than a year in an election year, the likelihood of that seems very low. And so I'm here to, to harness as much media interest as has been given us to demonstrate the nature of this problem and the stakes as they exist if we don't solve it.
Thank you, Jim. And Dave, from your perspective.
Yeah, from my perspective, we didn't see this coming, and I don't think we know what's coming next. And those decisions are going to be made outside this room. For us, we need to continue to stick to building our business on the fundamentals, focusing on the consumers. But I do fundamentally believe two products that have the same intoxicating effect shouldn't be regulated under two different systems. So for us,
Did you say should or should not?
they should not be. They should be regulated under the same system. So, and that goes everything from milligrams per package, packaging, advertising, and even interstate commerce. So I firmly believe that. But for us, we're kind of hanging back, just trying to do our bit in cannabis, and it's pretty difficult. Our business is complex on the regulated cannabis side. So I will tell you, after today and even getting to chat with Jim over the weekend, I'm far more empathetic, and I want to do my part to help bridge the gap on that front.
Cool, thank you. So we have time, and I think we're the final panel. So I've asked these panelists to take off their company hat. And this group up here has really a lot of experience in this industry, and to share with us, not really from this precise moment of what happened with hemp, but more long-term, what does fair and safe cannabis and hemp policy look like? And it can be whenever, if you want to take it like 10 years from now, what does that look like? What does it look like to be in the business? What does it look like in terms of consumer access? Like, how do we get from where we are to a more mature industry from a very objective perspective? Dave, can we start with you and come down the line?
Absolutely. And this, my opinion, doesn't represent the shareholders. It's my personal opinion. I think that when we see a rescheduling from, at least from 1 to 3, a lot of folks today talked about additional testing, getting deeper on that side. Lots of advantages there. I think it becomes more accessible in all states. It plays a bigger role when it comes to functional medicine. And I think it becomes just broadly accessible to all consumers. So I'm optimistic, but I tend to be a Pollyanna, and I've been in this for 9 years. So I think it's going to work out.
But sort of, let's just be clear, from what you said, I want to just tease that out a little bit more. It's normalized. So in terms of normalized, does that mean that cannabis products are sold outside the dispensary as we know it?
Yeah, I think that is the future state. I think you'll be able to purchase it at pharmacies. You'll be able to do interstate commerce, et cetera. So I think it just becomes another CPG product with incredible medical benefits.
Jim.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
You might have some thoughts on this, please.
I mean, there might be some disagreement in the room as to whether the ideal final endpoint is descheduled and regulated similar to, but not exactly like alcohol, or reschedule Schedule 3 forever. I'm ideally I prefer a descheduled future that's where the product is regulated similar to, but not identical to alcohol. And the way we get there in the next 360 days is we begin to lay a foundation for descheduled one-plant cannabis that has access to interstate commerce, that is not subject to 280E, where we start with limited form factors in topicals, edibles, beverages, with a hard THC milligram cap of only Delta 9 THC, and we use that framework to build a descheduled future.
Thank you. That's a pretty good vision.
No, you don't have to do that.
Mattocks.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with Jim. I think we got to crawl before we can walk, and I think that is rescheduling. I think the importance of real published, not that there isn't a ton of great scientific literature already, but a more formal effort that gets politicians comfortable with what I think everybody believes, has a high degree of comfort. And then, that'll lead to like incremental reform. I think from like, given we invest mostly in like software, we study the market structures of each of these states: unlimited license states, limited license states. What is that regulatory backdrop inform as it relates to market structure, prices, trends, margin capture across the supply chain? And, the complexity of it all right now, as every operator knows, is just nearly untenable. So we need sensible regulation. The same thing we've been saying for a very long time.
From your view on that level of stability, do you see in the future ingestible, like consumer products that are ingested from hemp and marijuana regulated differently, or do you see them eventually coming together?
I think they should come together. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. It makes a ton of sense. I think obviously, expanding consumer access is very important for both sides of the coin. So, you look at like the beverage market. When they originally started, predominantly in California, consumers didn't buy beverages at dispensaries. They're obviously very comfortable buying beverages outside of dispensaries. So, we got to have the safety of the end consumer, like first and foremost in mind, and then work backwards, or upstream, so to speak, to create a sustainable business environment for, the industry to thrive.
Thank you for that. And I ask in part because if we envision what does that industry look like in the future and work backward from there, in many ways, to me, that makes more sense than everyone operating from their own commercial interests now, because we're building an industry for generations to come. I'm by no means suggesting people should not. Either publicly traded companies that have a duty to their shareholders to maximize value. But I say in my Pollyannish way that if we look at where we're trying to get and then drive to there, it's much more linear than what we're doing right now. Danielle.
Okay, I'm going to be really optimistic.
We need it.
I think this group could have some right now. Yeah.
So, I do see this plant as one of the greatest economic opportunities available to America, and we're just at the very beginning. And so, if all of these things happen and we have a destigmatized ingredient that can go into all these products, that's therapeutic, that's more healthy for people, where kids aren't taking as many psychotropics, and there's all these benefits that we all know and why we're here and can keep doing this for so many years and are going to continue to do it. And then on the hemp side, that's more industrial for fiber and grain, there's this whole other economic world that can bridge, building materials and copper coatings and food and animal feed. The possibilities here, if we can get this part right, of safety for consumers and access for consumers across this whole spectrum, there's this other completely insane material sciences world that opens up with hemp that I just think it's the greatest economic opportunity that America has, and we're right here. And this language, unfortunately, compromises all of that, and makes it extremely difficult for people to put investment into the future of the entire opportunity. So, but I envision a very positive future.
For that positive future, where are we on our way to it? You know what I mean? Is this the first out of the first inning, or are we?
I think we're in maybe the first half of the first inning.
Okay, so patience. Yeah, no, that's very helpful.
That's what it feels like.
I want to thank this panel. Everyone anticipated this session had the possibility to break into a Jerry Springer show. So I am very appreciative of everyone's. No, it wasn't aimed at anyone. And that, I actually think it's terrific that we can have an elevated discussion like this, even in the wake of that. And I want to thank Ignited and everyone involved, because this felt like a successful day to me, and great discussions. And we're going to make room. I'm told that Senator Booker is more important than us. So he's coming. We're going to clear off in 10 seconds. Thank you very much, and I'll be around if anyone has questions. Great to talk to everyone today.
Wonderful job. Let's
Thanks,
give it up
Eric.
for our panelists. Thank you so much, my friends. We'll keep the mics in the chairs, and I'll ask you to go off just stage right. Stage right.